Hey guys, what's up? I hope you're doing amazingly fine. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to talk about and discuss things about the crash that happened approximately a week ago with the Pakistan Airline flight 8303, which was flying from Lahore to Karachi with approximately an hour and a half of flight time. But in the final 10 to 15 minutes, the flight had a lot of malfunctions as per the speculations and reports that are out right now, and it tragically crashed into the town of Karachi. Almost 97 people lost their lives, but there were 2 survivors, and it was a tragic accident for the whole aviation industry. Now, before we start the video, I would like to mention that this video is not made with an intent to blame the crew, the pilot, or anyone who was on board, because till now, whatever reports I have read, whatever news articles I have read, everywhere we see that the pilot is being blamed. Now, the whole report is not yet out. It will be out once we find the FDRs and CVRs, basically the data recorders in the aircraft, and exactly know what was the reason why the flight crashed, whether it was the pilot's miscalculations, whether it was his fault, or whether there were some snags in the aircraft. Now, till now, we already know that, okay, listening to the ATC flight recording, which I'll play in later on, and we will put down a lot of points, which all the pointers which I think happened over there, and along with that, this video will mainly focus onto what went inside the cockpit while everything was happening, because most of the videos we see right now are from the physical evidences and footage which we saw that, okay, the plane's landing gear was not down, okay, there was the aircraft first did a go around after attempting a belly landing and so on, but we never see what the pilot and the crew was going through while all this was happening, when they had to fly the aircraft and also manage to take care of all the malfunctions that were occurring. So this video will mainly focus on that aspect and tell you how much of stress is there in that cockpit, and along with that also tell you what exactly the flight path was of the aircraft before it crash landed into the town. I would also want to tell you guys that this video will be a little lengthy because I'm trying to put down everything from the ground, from the ATC point of view, as well as from the pilot point of view, and what the situation was. And later on, somewhere in the middle of the video, I will tell you what goes inside the cockpit, what are the indications of warning the pilot has to face, and the actions he has to do before he can even attempt to go and land with a dual engine failure. So let's get going. So to start the video, we are first going to analyze the live ATC recording which was captured during the last minutes of the flight when it had a switchover from the Lahore control to the Karachi tower, and this is what exactly the pilot and the ATC were saying. Now, this is what happened after the pilot tried to shoot in the first landing, but he missed. He did a missed approach procedure and then came back in order to shoot the same ILS for runway 25L.
We are comfortable, we can make, inshallah. So we are comfortable now, and we are out of 3,500 for 3,000. Established ILS 25 left.
Now in this recording, you can see that the pilot was pretty comfortable enough and confident that he can do the second approach. He was already established on the ILS. Now established on ILS means he's in line with the runway wherever he's choosing to land, and that is what he's basically transmitting to the ATC.
Sir, we are established on ILS 25 left.
So you are 5 miles from touchdown, distance passing 3,500. 8303 clear line 25 left.
Roger, Pakistan 8303.
Later on, they tell them, okay, that he is basically cleared to land for runway 25L, and that is what the pilot also goes and gives acknowledgement for. It is very important in this particular part of the video to hear the warning alarm that is played in the background while he's transmitting saying Roger. Okay, I'll play it again for you. Please do hear it properly, because this is going to be an important part to the later things that I'm going to tell you in the video. So listen to it again.
Roger, Pakistan 8303. 303 going round.
Report reaching altitude 3,500 feet.
Now, the pilot attempts to land on the same runway, but this time he does not have any landing gears and he basically does a belly landing. But after scraping the runway for quite a long distance, he chooses to go around. Now, why was the reason for him to do that is still not out, and we will get to know that only after the whole investigation is done. But after that, he does a go around, he gets the aircraft back in air, and the ATC tells him to basically report when he reaches an altitude of 3,500 feet as per whatever other missed approach procedures for the specific airport.
For Pakistan 8303, we would like to come again for ILS 250.
Now, he tells the ATC that okay, I would like to come back and I would like to try to land again on the same runway that is and shoot the ILS runway 25L approach. Now, if you see, you can clearly notice the sound of the engine again spooling up in the previous one. I'll play that again for you. Just hear it again.
Come again for ILS 250.
Descend left heading 110, climb 3000.
Left heading confirm.
From left heading 110, climb 3000.
110, climb 3000, Pakistan 8303.
Now here after he just went around, the ATCs giving him basically radar vectoring, they were telling him to turn to heading 110 and maintain and climb to altitude 3000.
8303, you are jumping altitude 2000.
Sir, we have just give me 2000.
So maintain 2000.
Cockpit, sir, we are now maintaining, trying to maintain.
Now, this is one very important part of the whole transmission wherein the ATC is telling him that he had informed or he had basically instructed the pilot to maintain flight level 3000, but the pilot was dumping or the pilot was losing his altitude to 2000 feet. Now, this is where the main problem starts. This is where actually the ATC starts to realize, as per me, that okay, there is something going on wrong, and even later on you'll see that what the pilot replies.
Cockpit, sir, we are now maintaining, trying to maintain.
Now in this particular transmission, you can clearly see that the pilot is absolutely unsure, and I wouldn't say unsure, he's under pressure. Okay, he's under pressure because his aircraft is not able to maintain what the ATC has told him, and he is somewhere maintaining 2000 feet. I will also show you the graphs which I had extracted from flight radar, wherein you see exactly how the pilot's altitude profile was. The ATC does not restrict him. The ATC tells him, okay, fine, you maintain 2000 feet, to which the pilot has again replied that, okay, sir, and he says clearly we are trying to maintain, where we can clearly see that he's struggling to keep even 2000 feet, because now at this point, I'm sure that his engines were not giving him any power, or maybe he had just lost one engine and was on the almost to lose the second one. Also, you know, here again in the background that you can still hear the warnings going on. Now, why I'm again and again telling you this, because that is exactly what is creating the pressure, because the A320 is a very smart aircraft. It tells you everything. It basically gives you all information about what is going on with the enormous amount of sensors that are in the aircraft, which tell every single fault to the pilot and also give the remedial actions towards it. Now, I'm going to tell you which system it is in a little while after we finish off with the ATC. So let's get going again.
Cockpit, sir, we are now maintaining, trying to maintain.
8303 approach.
Ji, sir.
Appears to be turning left.
Now, every airport has a specific missed approach procedure to which the pilot has to adhere, and then he has to come back and shoot the approach again. But this, the ATC notices that instead of going again and taking out the approach, the pilot was turning left, and that is what the ATC is trying to confirm, whether you're doing the action purposefully or what is going on.
While proceeding back, sir, we have lost engines.
Now to that question, the pilot obviously replies that yes sir, we are turning left, and he also mentions why, because we have lost both engines. You need to hear that he specifies engines, means that he does not have even single engine power left right now.
Confirm you are carrying out belly landing.
Now the next transmission that the ATC gives is to asking him basically whether he is going to do another belly landing. Now it is not, the ATC usually does not ask this, but probably in this case they are asking him this because in the previous landing he had done a belly landing, he attempted a belly landing, and they want to know whether he's again doing the same thing, because if he's doing the same thing, now we know that in the previous, if he attempted a belly landing, the engines are the lowermost part of the aircraft. Okay, so if an aircraft is doing a belly landing, before the bottom of the fuselage touches, first things that is going to scrape is the engines. Now if the engines are already damaged, in the second belly landing there can be a situation wherein a fire arises when the aircraft hits the ground, because the fuel is just above the engines in the wings. So that is probably the reason why the ATC is asking the pilot that whether he, so that they can keep the emergency services ready in case that there is a situation of fire which arises after the aircraft attempts the landing.
Runway available to land at 25.
Roger.
The ATC tells him, okay, you're good to go, you can continue your approach, do a direct approach, just come back safely and land onto runway 25, we have cleared it for you.
Clear, Mayday, Pakistan 8303.
Now when he is just doing the turn, this is where he basically gives out a mayday call. Now a mayday call is given in situations which is a complete emergency. Okay, we give a mayday when you have emergency, and in terms of engine failure we only give a mayday when both of the engines or all engines in the aircraft are lost. If there is a single engine failure, usually the call is pan, which states an urgency and not an emergency. But here the pilot clearly mentions a mayday, telling the ATC that okay, I need priority, and the ATC, as per the ATC will give the aircraft the full priority. It will keep all the aircrafts away from the airspace, the runways will be cleared, and most priority will be given to the aircraft which has just declared a mayday. In this case it was the flight 8303.
Pakistan 8303, roger sir, both runways available to land.
See clearly how the ATC gave him full cooperation. They told him you can land on any runway, just come back safely. But sadly that was the last transmission which came in from the Pakistan Airlines flight 8303. Further to which, usually because of no power, the aircraft stalled and it crashed into the city of Karachi and killing so many people. So in this part of the video, we tried to see and decode how the communication went on between the pilot and the ATC, and also saw the flight path that the flight basically flew before it crash landed into the town. Now in the upcoming and the next part of the video, I'm going to show you what exactly I noticed and what are the things that were the malfunctions or something which is still a mystery on why the pilot did that belly landing without landing gears. And you'll see, like in this picture, you can clearly see that because he attempted the belly landing, the engines are severely damaged. Now the jet engines are very sophisticated, okay, they are usually tested to the limits in cases with respect to water injection and other things, like if a bird goes through the engines, usually it will cause minor damage. But in this case, because the whole aircraft scraped the runway, there surely was significant amount of damage which the engine faced, and after the go around, it surely that the engines were not able to spool back up again and give any power to the pilot to fly the aircraft whatsoever. Now one more noticeable thing I found in the picture was that the RAT or the ram air turbine, which is basically a small generator kind of thing, it's a fan which rotates with the speed of the aircraft, and it provides auxiliary power to the hydraulic electrical systems whenever you have an engine failure. It is deployed automatically, and you can see it is clearly deployed in this particular picture before the airplane crashed, which was basically trying to give power to some systems in the aircraft. Also, this was a footage which was captured by a CCTV which was close to the vicinity where the aircraft crashed. In this particular video, one more thing to notice is that you can see that while the aircraft was attempting the next approach, wherein it turned left and tried to shoot the runway after losing both the engines, you see that the landing gear is down. Now we exactly don't know what the situation was, and again this whole mystery will be solved only when the final reports are out onto did the pilot first try to use the manual extension of the landing gear or no, and how was it later on deployed. So that basically ends the first part of the video, wherein I am telling you about what the physical evidences were and what right now the media report is. Now let's go and sit in the cockpit and see what it is like from the pilot's point of view. What are all the warnings? What all are the malfunctions that occurred in this flight, and how much the pilot goes under when all this is happening. Before we head on to the warnings, I want to explain you a certain things about the A320 which are important for you to understand the next slides. The first system that I want to tell you guys is the ECAM. ECAM stands for Electronic Centralized Aircraft Monitor. It is a system which is designed by Airbus, and it is in all the Airbus aircrafts, which basically gives the pilot information about the engine and aircraft parameters, and also in case of an emergency it displays what the emergency is, what system is affected by it, and also gives the remedial actions to cope up with that. These are the two screens of the ECAM. We have a upper ECAM, the lower ECAM. The upper ECAM tells you engine and it's an engine and warning display. The secondary part of it shows you your system display. While the lower, basically the lower ECAM gives you all the information of all the different systems that are present. And you also have a ECAM control panel through which you can see the different pages like hydraulics, electrics, pressurization, engine, flight controls, etc. And you can monitor what is going on, what is wrong, what is right, etc. All the parameters in the aircraft. As I mentioned earlier, the Airbus is a very smart aircraft. It tells you everything what to do. But the main problem arises when you have multiple failures at the same time, and that is exactly what happened in this particular flight. The first thing that I'm going to tell you is that in the first approach, they did not have the landing gears, and this is the warning that the pilot might have seen when it went on. In this part you can see this is an ECAM action which comes for if your landing gears are not down locked, and the actions are shown on the upper ECAM display where you have the warning display, and it tells the pilot what to do. Now in the first belly attempt we saw that the pilot went and did a belly landing when his landing gear did not down lock. Now this is what might have gone inside the cockpit. Now when for the first attempt when you try to get your landing gear down, if it does not come down, there is a procedure which is right here which you can see on the screen. Now first you have to recycle means you have to get it back, the knob up, and then you have to try it again after a certain interval of time whether it still works. If you still the landing gear signs are still not down, then you have to go and try to do it manually. You have a knob. Let's see it right here. This is basically the gravity extension knob for your landing gear, which in case of you have a loss, your landing gear cannot automatically go down. You can basically manually get it down through gravity. That was the first warning that the aircraft pilots might have gone through. Now the second was with respect to the engine failures. So now I cannot simulate a dual engine failure. I'll show you the warnings which is for one engine with damage, because in this case the aircraft engines were damaged while the aircraft rubbed through the tarmac on the runway. So let's see the warning now. So you can see the steps which the pilot has to take before even trying to land, because it is very important to secure the engines first so that on ground when the aircraft hits the ground they do not catch fire and there is no other damage that occurs in flight because of that malfunctioning engine. So the point that I'm trying to put here is that it is not that just because your engine has failed, the first thing is you just turn around and go. The pilot has to go through all of these steps before even attempting to land. That is what the procedures are like. And while doing all this, he will have enormous number of warnings which are going on, which will again divert your attention, because there are so many system failures in that particular flight. Now, the last and the most severe warning that the pilot might have occurred were the dual hydraulic failures. Now, in the Airbus aircraft, we have three hydraulic systems. We have the green, we have the yellow and the blue. Now, the green and the yellow hydraulic systems are powered by engine 1 and engine 2. Now, when he loses both of the engines, it's very obvious that the hydraulic pressure that is generated by these engines is totally nullified, and therefore he will have a dual hydraulic failure, which is one of the worst situations that can happen in an aircraft, because these two hydraulic systems work in conjunction with a lot of other systems, and they provide power to a lot of other systems like braking, your controls and your spoilers and many other things. So exactly see what and how many things the pilot has to do when he gets this warning in the cockpit. You see how many switches he has to go through, how many things he has to first see. He has to turn off all the engines, he has to turn off, he can also start to put power from the known auxiliary engine to the other engines, but that does not provide the whole amount of hydraulic pressure that is required, only a some amount to keep some things working. One more thing to notice here is that because of this dual hydraulic failure, you can see the amount of flight controls that he has lost. He has lost almost all of his spoilers, only one is active. He has limited control with respect to his ailerons, with respect to his elevators. He does not have pitch trim. He has rudders only through one blue hydraulic. So guys, by now I'm very sure that you guys have already understood and you know what exactly could have been wrong in that flight. And again, I would like to tell you that this is not this. I'm sure that there's some things in this are true. Some things are obviously gonna come up which will match the reports. But again, this is not with an intention to tell you that the pilot was wrong. There are a lot of factors. It is very easy to blame someone, and in the world of aviation we always tend to blame the pilot, and later on we basically tend to shame the pilot. It is not right, guys. There are a lot of things. You just saw how much the pilot goes through during this, and it is very important to understand that it's not only everyone else's life that went, it is also his own life. And just to end the video with, I would like to tell you that please do not spread any bad things. There are a lot of things that are going around blaming the pilot. They're telling that okay, it was all his fault and stuff. Okay, fine. There are situations like this which occurs, but I'm very sure that the pilot did everything that he could in his power to keep the aircraft and try to get it to back safely to land. So I guess with that I will end this video. If you liked the video, if you liked everything that I told, please do leave a like. Let's aim for around 200 likes on this video, and I'll see you in the next one. If you have any doubts, any queries, you can surely put it down in the comment section, and do subscribe for further more content about aviation and whatever goes around in the aviation world. So with that, I will leave you guys to enjoy. I will leave you guys to stay safe. Again, stay home and stay golden.